everyone. Sorry I've been absent lately. A lot of things have been going on, notably that my husband's had surgery, so I've been a bit busy looking after him, and house moving situation has kind of taken over a little bit with life, and also I've been working during the middle of the day, which means my time is kind of taken up a little bit more, but I have recently finished work, so I've got more free time, although I am madly packing in preparation for moving, so there is that little detail. But I'm making a concerted effort this week to post a few more videos on my channel, because I know people do kind of miss me occasionally, and that's very sweet of you. So everything is okay, I just have been incredibly busy lately, and BookTube has slipped to the side for now. Anyway, I thought I'd do a review video. This is one of a couple that I'm doing. You'll see posted up this week, so you'll see this same outfit yet again, because I don't do the whole change thing, contrary to popular troll opinions. These are a couple of books that I finished over the last month. I will admit my level of reading has dropped significantly lately. I don't know if that's because I've been too tired, or I've just been tied up watching pretty damn good telly. I mean, they're repeating on one channel and Person of Interest on another channel. So that's gone like 2 hours completely out of my evening when I'm watching telly. But I have been reading, just not very much. And this is what I managed to finish recently. So, Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerry Maniscalco, I'm going to go with. This is the first in at least a trilogy. This book's been around for a couple of years now. And I have to admit, I kind of wanted to read it because of the cover, and the fact it's historical, and it's got a feisty lead female who bucks the Victorian trends. So it kind of ticked a lot of boxes for me. So I ordered it as part of my birthday money from my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and I finally got around to reading it this month, which, you know, I'm surprised it took me that long, but I've had a lot of books in my pile. And I wish I could say I loved this book. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but it certainly fell somewhere between the two, which is a shame, because I really, really wanted to love this book, because it did tick all those boxes for me. I love historical, it's Victorian era, it's got a feisty female lead. You know, it deals with Jack the Ripper, for crying out loud, which, come on, you know, one of the like most mysterious murders that were theoretically never solved. And yet I didn't love this book. I think my biggest problem with it is one of the supporting characters I just read as Sherlock Holmes. It's like I'm reading Sherlock Holmes on that page, and I found it really distracted me. At no point could I get out of my head that it wasn't Sherlock Holmes I was reading, that it was actually the character in the book. And it really frustrated me that it was kind of like a shorthand to how this character was supposed to be, which was frustrating, I think, because then it was supposed to be, for me, a Sherlock Holmes story, but it wasn't a Sherlock Holmes story, and I just found myself really conflicted about that. And every time I picked it up and this character came on the page, which was quite frequent because he was one of the love interests, which but I was constantly going, this is not Sherlock Holmes, this is not Sherlock Holmes, this is a completely separate character. But I just saw so many parallels that my brain just couldn't cope with it, and that was mildly annoying for me. I did like the way that the Victorian etiquette for our lead character Audrey Rose is kind of there, but unlike the Dark Days Club, it wasn't shoved in your face. So I was much more appreciative of Audrey trying to fight against convention, wanting to do her own thing, wanting to do what she was passionate about, without this stifling etiquette rules being shoved down the reader's throat. So I was very grateful for that. And I did like the way that Audrey develops throughout this book. She starts off as, you know, a young lady in the Victorian dress who strips down to a plain linen dress to do autopsies, But then as the book progresses, she changes her day clothing as well to fit in with her own confidence and what she wants to do in her life, rather than be stifled by Victorian conventions. So there was this natural progression to her. The love triangle thing I could have majorly done without. I found it a little bit distracting, a little bit frustrating. But it was there, it was going to happen. And the way that the romance seems to progress over the next 2 books, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Book itself is really nicely done. I actually got the hardback version because I didn't like the paperback cover that was over here. And some of the chapters are actually headed by a photograph of the time period. Which I thought was a really nice touch. Let's see if I can find another one for you. And they do tie into what happens in that chapter. So that was, I thought, really clever and a good way of bringing in the historical side of it. The author has done a huge historical explanation at the back of the book. She has changed dates, she has changed some facts and some names, just to make it simpler or to make the plot flow better for her. So if you want to know more about Jack the Ripper, you're going to have to look at other historical documents and that for more of the facts, because some liberties have been taken. But for the plot in itself, it works really well, that things have just been tweaked a little bit, and it makes sense for the author to have done that, rather than be constricted by history, as it were. I can't talk much about the resolution at the end of the story because massive spoilers, but needless to say, once you twig who your suspects are and then start eliminating them, it is pretty obvious where it's going to go. And the reasons why are a little bit out of the blue. It does seem to come out of nowhere, the reasons why the murders have been happening. But that's how I felt about it. So I was a little bit disappointed by that, and it kind of felt a little bit rushed. I think that ending, it was very much of, oh, I've suddenly fallen on some big revelation, like in a mid-afternoon drama that's got 5 minutes to wrap everything up, and suddenly the hero finds out what's going on. It felt like that. The book is certainly set up for a series. Certain things change towards the end of the book that mean Audrey Rose is going to carry on doing what she loves. And so it's definitely set up for Hunting Prince Dracula, which is the next book in the series. Needless to say, you can pretty much guess what's going to go on by the title of that book. Oh, there you are. The whole description of Victorian London at that time period is pretty good. The feeling of walking down these dirty, grimy streets in the pea-thick soup fog, and just the way that Victorian London tended to run, the sensationalism of the whole Jack the Ripper thing, that's all portrayed really, really well, and I was very impressed with the author's research on that. I just wish I'd liked the book more. I really do. I don't know if I'll be carrying on with the series. It's not as high on my list as it once was. I think you can tell I was pretty much suckered in by the cover on this book rather than the premise. You can't always judge a book by its cover. But I would say if you like Victorian thrillers, if you like strong feisty females, if you like a touch of romance and a little bit of gore as well. I mean, this book did actually go into quite some depth of description of body innards. So be aware, probably don't eat it with a good hearty meal inside you. But if you like that kind of thing, then Stalking Jack the Ripper, I would recommend to you. I mean, certainly if you know a little bit about the Victorian period and you know a little bit about Jack the Ripper and you kind of like books that do theories on who this man was and why he was doing these murders, this is one for you. It is an entertaining read. It's well written. It's well researched. And it's a pretty good story in its own right. I just think I wanted more from it. But there you are. So, Stalking Jack the Ripper. Have you read it? If you haven't, give it a go. If it sounds your kettle of fish. If you have, please leave a comment below. What did you particularly like about it or dislike about it? How did you find some of the characterization in there? Just let me know your thoughts down below. That would be lovely. Description box, you can also find my book blog on there where I think I've done a review on this one. I'm not sure if I've done it yet, but otherwise there is other book reviews and bookish related topics on my book blog, as are the links to my social media channels. You can find me on Goodreads, Twitter and Instagram. Come and say hi. That'd be really nice. As always, thank you very much for watching and happy reading. Bye.